Hey, it's Patrice and I'm back for another video. This video, I have to warn you, there may be some things that will be hard to hear. My ancestors, last night, we had a conversation. They taught me a lot of things throughout the day yesterday, and they instructed me to make a video explaining some of these things. So I want to give you a heads up that first off, I have notes here because I really wanted to make sure some of these things I didn't forget. And also just to say that, you know, on this channel, you're going to hear messages that come directly from my Egyptian ancestors. And these messages are messages that are specifically for people subscribed to my channel. You'll notice a lot of things on my channel are for royals and for people in Ra's bloodline and for the chosen, who actually are people who are chosen by Ra, by God, that are not in his bloodline. Now, I wanted to also clarify that when I say royals, I'm not talking about the royals who claim to be royals in the UK. Again, I will go over something like that, a topic on that in a later video, but I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm talking about royals who are certified royals by DNA. So with that said, I'm going to go into, especially if you're new here, a lot of times people wonder, you know, like, how do you get these messages and things like that? So I'll just start by saying that, as some of you may know, my spirit is Tefnut. Tefnut is Ra, God's daughter. And again, I am a royal, an Egyptian royal by DNA. And this is knowledge that the United States government is aware of. So I just want to clear that up. So when I say royals, I'm talking about people that are DNA certified royals. And a lot of these royals who are in Ra's bloodline, I have a gift, an ability to be able to know and determine who is in Ra's bloodline and who in his bloodline are royal. And this is information that I've given to the FBI, and they help to let people know that they're royal. All right, so now with that said, again, on this channel, you're always going to hear the truth from me. And again, I want to warn you that this video is going to have things that may ruffle some feathers. I'm not trying to do that. But when my ancestors give me information that they want me to say to you, I follow through and I do it. And that's what I'm going to do. And they want you to take this information and do with what you will. I always say that my Egyptian ancestors, again, Ra, God, the creator of everything, he created the beginning of time. And so my ancestors that have come after, later on, Egyptian ancestors, they created and established 7 books. And these 7 books were written by my Egyptian ancestors. And there actually were more than 7 books, but the other books were destroyed. But there were 7 books specifically that talked about Egyptian spirituality and our practices. My Egyptian ancestors, they created the occult. And with these 7 books, these books were actually stolen. And when these people got a hold of these 7 books, they plagiarized them and rewrote a lot of it. And these 7 books are 7 books that are within the compilation that you have known as your Bible. So when people ask me if I know the Bible, my answer is that my Egyptian ancestors and their spirituality is the foundation of your Bible. My ancestors wanted me to make this video specifically because when it does come to religion and the Bible, and while we're on the topic of the Bible, they want it to be clear that because of the fact that a lot that is in your Bible has been plagiarized, they don't have the messages right. Another thing that you should know is that people have written stories in there that are not true. So there are many lessons and stories in the Bible that aren't correct. And again, this is something that, again, people can listen to what I'm saying, and you can challenge it if you want to. Or you can listen and learn and make decisions moving forward. But a lot that's in your Bible is not correct. Another part of it is there's a big issue when it comes to some things that are in the Bible, because one thing that I've learned, growing up, I went to church. Didn't go all the time. My family, we were not strict in religion or anything like that, and I'm talking about my 3D family. So it means like my biological family that I grew up with. When I went to church, there are some things that I remember and some things that were said. I remember when they would talk about how you were supposed to be and how you were supposed to develop your relationship with God, Ra, in the church. And I remember the silver offering tray that would come around. Ra wants you to know that never ever has it ever been that he has ever said that in order to develop a relationship with him, that number one, that you had to join a church. You don't have to do that to develop a relationship with Ra, God. And also, most especially, never ever has he ever said that the members of the church are to give offerings to help fund or support the church. What is supposed to happen are the people, the higher ups, that have the money in these churches, in these organizations, and I'm going to get a little bit more into these things later on in this video, so stay tuned. They are the ones that are supposed to be helping the members that are in need and guiding them the right way. So again, do I know the Bible? Yes, I know the Bible. What they should be asking me is, what is the truth about the Bible? All right, so I'm going to move on. So again, you're going to hear some ruffling of papers and things like that. So the things, like I said, that you hear in the Bible or read in the Bible, those things have been changed. Stories have been altered. Stories have been created to fit a narrative that they want you to follow and believe. And that's the truth. Now I'm going to move on from the Bible because I can be here all day long. Now I'm going to move on to Aleister Crowley. Now I have a video on this on my channel. And very quickly, Aleister Crowley, he was someone who was in the occult, and like I said, my Egyptian ancestors created the occult. They created magic. And to clarify, when you hear things about magic and you think of how people have used it for evil, for power, for money. Yes, these are evil people that have stolen this knowledge and used it for evil, which made the occult knowledge and the occult itself gain a bad name. Now, Aleister Crowley, again, he was a man who was into the occult and he studied this knowledge. Aleister Crowley was royal, and he was in my bloodline, as I have explained in the other video. But the thing about it is, when Aleister Crowley was alive, he had no idea that he was even royal. He had no idea that he was in God's bloodline. But one thing that's for sure is he did not have clearance from my ancestors to access this knowledge. So he did gain some of this knowledge. Again, some of it was not accurate. I have to keep stressing that. People followed him. And even after he passed away, people continued to follow his studies. But again, a lot of this knowledge that he thought he had was not exact and right. But people have continued to follow what he has taught them and have created their own organizations. My ancestors really wanted me to specifically name 3 groups. Okay? One of them I've already named. I thought from last night that they wanted me to specify that this part of the message goes to some Christian church groups. They said no this morning. They said all Christian churches should hear this. And the other groups are the Illuminati, and however you want to break that down. And the other is the Church of Scientology. And I'm going to talk specifically about them right now. They told me something about a man, L. Ron Hubbard, who followed Aleister Crowley. And there's a reason why I'm telling you this story. And I just want to say to you, while I'm thinking about it, you may have heard, and maybe in some of my videos, you may have heard my smoke detector that, chirps. My battery is not dying, just so you know. That's the way that, since I've moved here, my ancestors, they've chosen that there they go. They picked this particular smoke detector because it's closest to my bedroom and where I work. This is how they get my attention and show me that they're agreeing. Like if I'm not sitting with a pendulum in my hand, or even if I am, they're kind of reiterating what I'm saying and kind of pushing me along and saying, yeah, exactly, keep going. So just so that you know, that's what they do. Now back to this L. Ron Hubbard guy. They told me about this guy who studied from Aleister Crowley, and he is the one that actually created the Church of Scientology. But there's something about it that bothers them and bothers me. Now, to sum it up quickly, there's something that he used to do. He used to do these rituals to conjure up a goddess. Her name was Diana, Goddess Diana. She was an empress. And he would conjure up this goddess and use her abilities to heal. And I guess he wrote this book about this and created, I don't know if it's a program, it's something that he created called Dianetics, that is named after Goddess Diana. That, I don't want to get too much into it, but has something to do with healing people and having the ability to heal. The reason why this was brought to my attention yesterday, this is crazy, by my ancestors is because, as I've mentioned in another video, my ancestors have told me about 15 or 16 specific past lives that I have been. They told me that my past life was Goddess Diana, which makes sense, which she also, my Aunt Asaber, who is a spirit that I've also talked about, who guides me and tells me a lot of things that I need to know. She advised me that, again, this is also something that the United States government is well aware of, which basically explains why back in 2022 January, and again, you can go back to my older videos where I talk about these things, where I was trying to piece together what the heck was happening to me in my life and why all these crazy things were going on. When these evil people forced me into the hospital to try to make me look crazy, and they knocked me out, and they basically put me under to study me and test on me. This is why, because they wanted to see how I heal. That's why they have done that illegally to me without my consent. Again, this is all United States knowledge, why they did the things that they've done, and this was all done illegally. So this is why they wanted me to bring this up, to not only let the public know what is really going on and the kinds of things that are done, but also to let the United States government know that I am aware of this too now. All right, so as a whole, when it comes to this L. Ron Hubbard guy and what he talks about and what he says he's able to do or was able to do, when it comes to this healing, it wasn't true. My ancestors were saying that, you know, when it comes down to the rituals he was doing, they were not successful like that. And what he was saying to people and having people believe in what he wrote about isn't the truth. So this is also part of it that is like probably mind-blowing to people. And again, I feel bad for these organizations, the people, the members of these organizations who have put a lot of money into these organizations to support them. A lot of them will have these levels that you pay to move up in these ranks to reach enlightenment. And again, just like recently, I've mentioned that in another video, my ancestors said that a lot of these people are not even in the right bloodline to become enlightened on the things that they talk about, because they're talking about ancient knowledge that they have absolutely nothing to do with. So these things don't work on them. And I want to state, I'm actually going to be ending this very, very soon. But I want to state that when it comes down to the occult, my ancestors have been encouraging me to really think about, you know, focusing more on the occult, because I'm part of the reason why I'm here is to give back the reputation of the occult, the reputation of my Egyptian ancestors, the reputation of magic, because the reality is there is only one magic, but you can use it for good or you can use it for evil. And we've had many years of people using this knowledge for evil, again, which has given magic a bad name. So when it comes down to the occult is going to be positive again. And when it comes to magic, magic is going to be positive again. And a lot of these people who have been using these rituals and things like that, and you know, this magic, using black magic, that stuff is not working for you anymore, and it's not going to. So I'm going to end this right now, and I'm going to say that, you know, again, I know some of these things that I've said will ruffle feathers, and I'm not meaning to do that. But again, you're not going to hear things that are not the truth. I'm going to give you the truth because this is what my ancestors want delivered to you. And the messages that I get are directly from Ra, from God, and from my Egyptian ancestors. So I love you all, and I just want to make sure that you know that it's time to really start thinking about what I'm talking about here. You've seen and heard people kind of talk about some of these things. And I hope that when I'm speaking to you on what I'm hearing from my ancestors, that this is helping break it down for you in little chunks that you can understand. And that you walk away from this video and ask questions and open your eyes, because I'm so sorry to say, but you've been lied to for many years. It's time for the truth to come out. Love you. Bye.